You're on.
All right, it's May 3rd. Call the Selectmen's meeting to order. The first order of business is to salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public input?
I have none.
Can I hear none? Is Chris Rule here?
Haven't seen him yet.
Okay. Do you want to go forward with the public hearing on the transfer?
I think Chris should be here.
Okay, so moving forward, review the minutes for last week's meeting, April 25th at 4:30 PM at town offices.
I've had a chance to review the minutes.
So have I.
They look good to me.
Nothing jumps out at me.
Move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So Chris is not here. So Leo Dwyer, you're up, buddy.
I'm here. So I had a couple slides. I could use a projector, or since there's just a few people, I might just put the PC on the desk.
Sure.
Show up if that's okay. So first of all, thanks for inviting me to come visit with you. And as I think you know, I'm a director of New Hampshire Electric Co-op, and I'm executive chair of our New Hampshire broadband entity, which is building fiber. And so I thought I'd start with just a little bit about, and I can provide you these slides later, I just didn't print them, I apologize for that. Let's see, from the beginning. So just a little background on co-ops. There are 800 co-ops in the country, electric co-ops. And they maintain 42% of all the electric distribution system in the US. Service only 12% of the population with that. So we service the 50% of the land area, the least dense areas. And that holds true in New Hampshire where we're distributing, because the nature of co-ops is they built where for-profit people didn't want to build back in the 30s and 40s with the Rural Electrification Act. And so we serve rural locations, and there are currently 300 co-ops around the country that are building fiber. And the reason for that is sort of makes sense in that the places that people didn't want to build electricity because it wasn't profitable are the same places that people don't want to build broadband because it's not profitable, because of the low density in the areas. And so electric co-ops are very rural. We're member focused. We're owned by our members. I think you probably know that. You're probably all members, because I looked at the statistics on Tufton Borough, and I think 96% of the population is. We're self-governed. I, like you, am elected. I have to stand for election every 3 years, and so that keeps us honest. We're self-regulated in New Hampshire, which gives us some flexibility. Is like when we want to set rates, we sit down and we say, what's the right rate? And we have a board of directors, and the board is effectively the governing body. We don't have to go to the Public Utilities Commission because they trust us, and they trust that we'll get thrown out if we do a bad job effectively. So we're self-regulated. And the other thing that is important about broadband and electric is as the technology evolves with electric vehicles and home generation and demand management, communication is an important thing that comes into play. So it's not just broadband for streaming movies, but it also has some potential value to the electric side of our business. Does that make sense? So we in New Hampshire were founded in 1939. As I said, we're member owned. We serve 85,000 meters in the state, which is 13% of all the premises or homes in the state effectively. We touch 119 towns. We have 5,500 miles of energized line. As I said before, we tend to be rural, and it's a significant business. We have $150 million in annual revenue and a balance sheet of probably $300 million now. And we have borrowing capacity, which is important when it comes to doing something like broadband because it's pretty capital intensive. In terms of where we are in the state, and there, you recognize the profile of the state, we're sort of central, a little piece up north, but Carroll's, we cover 55% of all the homes in Carroll County, 50% of the homes in Grafton, Belknap 40, Sullivan 20, and then some smaller numbers as you move south. So why are we looking at broadband? Well, in 2020, our members, as I said, we're self-governed, had a petition drive and effectively told the board that they wanted us to do broadband. And so we listened to them, pretty much. We're not perfect, but we do react to being told things by what was an overwhelming vote. It was about 88% on the second vote. The first vote was 64%, I think. There were two separate votes. So in 2020, we did what we call our CARES projects, which were, I don't know if you remember, there was a fire drill where this state got money from the federal government and said you got what effectively was 3 or probably 4 months to go get the money and spend the money and have an operating system. So it was really a serious fire drill. We did 86 miles of fiber in 100 days in Leominster, Colebrook, Stewartstown, and Clarksville, past about 1,100 homes in the end. And that's up and running and is successful. There's a lot of happy customers. In 2020, we participated in a thing called the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, which basically was the FCC had what they call a reverse auction, which is a tricky thing where they start high and they keep reducing until bidders drop out. In terms of we bid to serve underserved areas in the state, and we ended up winning, I believe it was $6.5 million to be earned out over 10 years as we serve these designated areas around the state, which you see here. Primarily they were up along the Connecticut River. And this year, or this last year, 2021, we started 2 additional projects in Sandwich and Ackworth. We're building 186 miles of fiber past 1,800 residences, and that we should be turning on in a matter of weeks. You might have seen out on 25, there's a new head house where Mountain Road hits 25, is going to be the source of the light going into Sandwich. And so, it's actually, I enjoy this contrasted pictures. That's the first pole the co-op set in 1939 in Leominster, New Hampshire, which still exists. It still is there. There's nothing on it. And this is that pole a couple months ago, and we were running fiber right past it. So it's almost like a romantic sort of repurposing of the co-op. So after Sandwich and Ackworth, in fact, is underway now, we're building 900 miles in Grafton County, which is about a 12 to 18 month undertaking. It'll pass 16,500 premises, and at that point we'll be approaching 20,000 total premises, which will be about 25% of our members, but our goal is to get to all our members. And so that, let's see, I covered that. So this gives you an idea, when we're done with the Grafton, that's in red, we'll have systems here, and I put a little dot where you guys are in Tuftonboro. And so I took a look at Tuftonboro relative to the co-op. And I calculated, I don't have very good statistics on people we don't serve because they're off our system. But just looking at, I've actually looked at building footprints. It's pretty easy because there's not a lot of them. I think there's maybe 90 premises in town that we don't serve. The red area is our service or franchise area, and there are 2 zones that are, I presume, served by Eversource. Would that be?
The one looks like Canaan Valley.
Yeah, I think the one on the bottom there is Wolfboro Electric.
Yeah, okay, they come over the line.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's Hidden Valley, that neighborhood up in there.
Okay.
Hidden or Canaan?
Lower Beach Pond Village District.
Canaan is the upper one,
This is, and then that's.
Yeah.
and that comes in through Ossipee.
And so, just in terms of numbers, we have about 110 miles of distribution line in town. We serve 2,600 meters, and as I said, there were about 90, I think, we don't serve. And that's just a map with the meter locations. Just, we use our poll data to take a look at what service we think is available in town, because we know what's attached to the poles that go down the road. And so we believe that about 20% of the homes in town have nothing available if you presume that DSL is nothing, which we pretty much presume, because it's just
Well,
not-
it's underserved.
Right, exactly. And then 75% have one broadband, I'm sorry, I'll go to the next one. 80% have cable. So would that fit with your sort of notional thought of the service
Yeah,
in town?
I don't think I've ever done the math on it, but I know that, 20% unserved seems about right for
Mhm.
cable.
It's actually, it's very hard to get precise with these
Yeah.
numbers because
Well, we asked on a number of occasions for a report from our cable company. Got virtually nothing.
Spectrum is, and is, for some reason I showed up some of the polls as being Atlantic, but Atlantic's been absorbed into,
Right, that's Melvin Village.
okay, but it's Spectrum as well? Or is it a separate operator?
I think it's a separate operator.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Isn't
Cable?
it what Wolfboro has? So wouldn't it probably be
I could,
that whole area up there too that might be hooked up to our electric, might also be on our cable?
Not in Melvin.
Well, I'm not thinking, is it Melvin Village has everything broadband?
it would be these areas, this area here, and this area here.
Yeah, it is. It's that Hidden Valley up there.
Hidden
Yeah,
Valley.
show.
Because I thought it was a mistake, because
I think they get our cable too. I think that whole,
They
because
have
the neighborhood
a
is,
choice.
it's split right down the center between Tuftonboro and Wolfboro.
Yeah,
Right down Beach Pond Road.
but that makes sense. I actually thought I was wrong.
Really?
When
I
looked
only
at
know
the
that
data.
because I'm looking at a lot of land up there that I just drove
I
by
wonder why
yesterday.
we don't get a check.
The franchise check, yeah. So what I'm here to say is that we plan to build broadband. I can't tell you when. We're in the midst of making our next plan. Grafton was a big lift for us to do 900 miles this year. And I would think probably within 6 months, we'll be setting the plan for the next 12 months going forward. And I suspect it's likely to be Carroll County, but I can't guarantee that. There's a lot of folks involved in making these decisions, and you can imagine everybody wants to be next. But we think that there's need here, and thought I'd ask if you have any questions.
So we've got quite a few island properties.
Mhm.
Have you taken that into account in your,
They would be,
we only have 2 permanent residents on the islands.
right,
But is your position that you're gonna hitch everybody up that's got a meter?
that's the goal, yes.
Okay.
And there's conversation about how you bill for that, and you probably need to get year-round billing in order to justify.
Right.
But I suspect most of the folks in those locations would welcome that as an option, because they don't have any option right now. And a lot of them are rental properties that people look for that, so. Getting to the islands is non-trivial,
Right.
because it is trivial because you can just drop a fiber underwater very easily, but it's the environmental
Right.
issues that you run into. So it may be that we end up going wireless across the water and then fiber on the island.
Yeah, because that brings me to my next question, which is this grant available, is that, how has it historically been done, like in Grafton County? Are those
What?
communities applying
In-
and then capitalizing it?
In Grafton, we'll be looking to the communities to support our grant applications. As you know, the state has currently $122 million in ARPA money, and then there's another $120 million coming down the pipeline, probably in the next 12 months, of infrastructure money, both of which are dedicated to broadband. And is this being recorded?
Yes.
Well, I'll say it anyway. It's probably more money than we need. You know, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
The hard part is going to be how it gets allocated. And what we'll be doing is we will be trying to get as much as we can, obviously, for our members. But we also think that when you look at rural New Hampshire or rural states or anywhere that's rural, this money is a once in a lifetime opportunity that whoever builds with this money over the next 3-4 years is going to have a 40-year monopoly, because nobody's going to overbuild them. That's the reason they don't have anything right now, is the economics don't work. So the grant money is going to make it possible. And so we think it's really important that the ownership of that 30 or 40-year monopoly be a nonprofit as opposed to an over-levered for-profit. And because history would say that for-profit monopolies, no matter how well-intentioned in the beginning, service degrades and prices goes up. And that's what's happening with the cable. And so
So we're not gonna have, getting back to the grant,
Mhm.
we're not gonna have any responsibility for securing grant money?
Well, what we would do is we'd like you to support our grant applications.
Okay.
That's really, and the extent to which, my guess is you have a concern for serving the 90 folks in town that aren't on our service. And I don't know what you've done with your allocation of ARPA money from the state to the towns. That was, at least initially, it was designated for sewer, water, and broadband. But if there was an interest in kicking a bit of that in to help us get to the 90 homes, I looked at the order of magnitude 6 miles, I think, of road in those 2 areas that we're looking at. And so I think we'd work with you to do that.
Mhm. And you're currently up and running where?
In
Ackworth?
and Ackworth is getting turned on in about 2 or 3 weeks in Leominster, and Colebrook, Stewartstown, Clarksville, a portion of that area. We didn't build that whole area because we only had 100 days.
So have you solidified your rate structure?
for the rate we're charging
Yeah.
is, currently we charge $49.99 for 100 symmetrical, and $89.99 for gigabit symmetrical. And we're considering adjusting the rate structure to be $54.90 for 100 with what we call managed Wi-Fi, which would mean managing the Wi-Fi in the house, because it turns out that makes it a lot easier to troubleshoot if you own the equipment all the way into the Wi-Fi. So you can actually, if somebody's having trouble getting on, you can see the device they're trying to put on, and you can remotely fix it as opposed to having to roll a truck. So
that would be $4 more.
$4, but the $89.99 we're going to reduce to $84, same round numbers, and then add a 2 gigabit service at $99, which is more than anybody needs.
So that's $100.
Right.
Okay.
And these wouldn't be introductory rates. These would be.
That was my question.
Yeah.
So this is what you're gonna pay until the board of directors decides
Right.
anything.
Right. And it's. Excuse me for a second. Yeah. And if we make money, the members own the money. So.
Well, theoretically, although only, I think this month is the first time in the history of New Hampshire Electric Co-op.
Second time.
Second month?
No, we did a year ago. You're talking about capital credits.
Right.
Yes.
And I think we're the only cooperative that didn't issue capital credits until then.
You might find a couple of others, but there were somewhat extenuating circumstances
I mean, we
related
have-
to a.
We have an undesignated fund balance that we track every year.
Mhm.
And it's money that hasn't been spent, which is sitting
Right.
there. And, 10% of your operating budget is
Right.
probably a good number. Do you guys ever go through that exercise?
Well, if your point about capital credits is a good one, but I think we have to go back in history, and I'll forget the exact year, but it was like late 80s or early 90s. We had the unfortunate investment in Seabrook.
Right. Which we all voted against, but.
Right.
Yeah, that's a matter.
But that effectively wiped
Yeah.
the members' equity, and we've spent 25, 30 years rebuilding the balance sheet to the point where we're actually a very strong balance sheet. It's probably like 50-50 debt to equity, and have significant borrowing capacity. So that's really why we started distributing the capital credits.
I guess it's just my and it has nothing to do with broadband. But, I mean, you have the ability with a broadband service as well as the electric to do more accumulating of capital.
Mhm.
And do you sit down at some point in time and say, okay, this is the magic number of how much capital we need in the bank?
Right. Well, actually, it's the magic number is more of a balance sheet ratio.
Okay. Well, 50/50 is
Pretty strong.
Yeah.
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 I actually think, again, I'll hesitate to say this, but that we do have a very conservative balance sheet, and part of the reason for that is that once burned, twice shy. I think there was you get scared when you come close to the edge like that, and I think so it's perhaps a bit more conservative than it needs to be.
Yeah, and looking at the, I mean, you guys need broadband just as much as the people do, really. If you get into these little solar operations,
Oh, it helps, yeah.
managing the grid.
Well, I think, and it's probably be 10 years or maybe even 20 years, but the electric vehicles, the fascinating thing about electric vehicles is as you get into renewable energy, the problem is storage. That it's never available when you want it. You know, the wind blows and then you want it over here and it's time shifting. If you have a huge fleet of electric vehicles, the batteries in the vehicles become a storage mechanism. And if you have a massive store like that and you can pull on it and push to it, it becomes the way to manage renewable. But we're a long way away from what they call vehicle to grid discharging. We're actually doing a pilot on that with Plymouth State, but nobody's doing it on a scale.
You probably need some critical mass of electric vehicles to
Yeah.
make it work.
Yeah,
Because you can't take all of my battery, I gotta go to Conway in the morning.
right, exactly. Yeah, right. There has to be flexibility. There has to be enough so that people can designate.
So is there local participation at all financially,
That we're looking for.
or that you're using? Either way.
I'll tell you, in the CARES projects, we funded the capital to build the fiber was 100% grant funded. The capital to do what they call the drops, or the connection from the distribution to the house and the internals of the house and the operating losses, because when you're operating such a small number, you're going to have losses as you get going. The co-op is covering. In Sandwich and Ackworth, we've gotten commitment from both towns for majority of their ARPA funding, which is 100 something, which is really a almost like a token interest. But then in Sandwich, we've gotten, the town applied for and received an 880 I think it was, thousand Northern Border grant, which they gave to the co-op, and have received an earmark of 1.65 million in the last budget just passed a couple weeks ago, and that they are going to give to the co-op. So that paid for a big chunk of the town. But in that instance, the co-op did effectively go at risk in that we committed to build based on a promise that if they got the money, we'd receive it. And really the motivation was the areas we're building to, as opposed to a for-profit company that looks at the most profitable areas and builds those first. In fact, I was just up in Conway where CCI says they're going to build them. We've built to the most needy. Sandwich has absolutely nothing other than really bad DSL. The same in Webster and up in Colebrook is similar. So we've worked from the other end of the spectrum. But we do want to get to all our members.
And how does this affect the utility tax? Where do you fall on that?
You mean in terms of real estate tax?
Yeah.
Oh, phone is, communication is taxed at a very low rate.
But it's still taxed.
Yeah, it's minor though, I think. It's not significant.
Right, because they're hanging on your poles.
Right, the big numbers on the polls, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that got settled,
No, it did.
hopefully.
I just don't know if this is gonna complicate things, or if we need to come up with some kind of agreement, or if anybody else has thought about that.
No, actually,
The Consolidated thinks they don't have to pay any taxes because,
Consolidated
it's
doesn't
just-
pay, Consolidated quit paying us tree trimming fees
yeah.
3 or 4 years ago.
They just consider it another phone line. So they're just.
Oh, you mean when they,
They're just replacing copper with fiber, that's all they're doing.
Yeah.
That's their
They're
position.
not even doing that. They're wrapping their
yeah,
fiber around their copper lines.
they're overlashing, yeah. Right.
So they're not.
But they stopped paying us. So we're having a bit of a discussion with them about that. They stopped paying Eversource too. There's a proceeding before the PUC. CCI owes Eversource $28 million. And contractually that they just stopped paying a couple of years ago. And now they want Eversource to pay them, I believe, $28 million for their poles. But what it does is it shifts $11 million a year of operating expense from CCI to Eversource ratepayers. And Eversource seems willing to do it because they get a rateable base in the $28 million pole purchase. It's, well, actually we were
Well, as
down,
long as the customer doesn't win, that's all we worry about.
right, that seems to be, we went down and spoke with Don Crease. He's the public advocate at the Public Utilities Commission. And he just wanted to highlight the difference between us. We sued CCI to get our members' money and get them to live up to their contractual agreement. And Eversource cut a deal.
So any idea if we were to come to an agreement when you could come to Teterboro?
I would say within what we're building now, we're committed for like the next 12 to 18 months, but 6 months before the end of that, we'd start probably 30 months outside, I would hope.
To 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you looked around when you walked in, but we have a really small government. So when it comes to these grants
Mhm.
and the amount of paperwork and all the rest of it.
Oh, what we learned in Sandwich is we don't want the town to apply for the grant
Okay,
because the money coming through the town creates such agita that you,
yeah.
because it just is what we want to, we got Northern Borders was willing to retrospectively make us a co-recipient. And then we could act as a principal. And we're trying to do that with the earmark because town government isn't set up to receive the money and pass it on.
No, I mean, in just the little water project that we did down at a trailer park down there, that caused any amount of agita,
Yeah.
just trying to keep.
It's not worth the money almost.
Well, we didn't get any money out of it. If we just were it was one of those community block grant
Mhm.
deals, so we're just a pass-through. And
And it still creates, yeah.
so it costs a lot of time.
So a couple things you could do for me is that at some point over the next, we're not sure how soon, but there will be grant opportunities coming out of the BEA. We'd like to ask the towns that we serve for a letter of support. Do you have much dealings with the county? Matt Platch? Matt?
Bob works at the county, so he
Oh,
has
good.
lots of dealings with.
I've actually got to go back and visit Matt. What we see happening is we want to do a solution for our members, and actually beyond if we can, but our focus is naturally our members first, because we're playing with the house's money. You know, it's their capital. The county understandably wants to get the whole county served. And
We're both on that committee.
okay, yeah,
I've been to all the meetings.
yeah,
I'm familiar with it.
that's gonna be difficult.
Oh, I know.
I don't know how they're gonna do it if you take the two metropolitan areas, if you will, of Conway and Wolfboro out of the mix.
Right,
What's in it for anybody? I
Right.
mean, other than the co-op maybe because they do things differently, but I mean.
And it's
commercial
gonna be a
operators-
long time coming too.
I agree with you, Chip. Conway and Wolfboro is already covered by broadband, and that's if you consider the population of, and then part of Wakefield and part of Moultonborough, and
Yeah.
those are your four biggest populations, so it's all the other towns.
who's in Wolfboro?
It's Doing hard. I think right now, at the end of this year, we should have 100% coverage, and I think it's
Cable company, right?
Comcast, right?
not Comcast.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
changed the
Atlantic
name.
Broadband. It was, there was a name for it, and they changed the name, and now
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Breezeway.
Breeze
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Breeze Line, that's what it is,
Yeah.
Breeze Line.
Yes, that-
And,
yes.
yeah, they also, they are
Broadband.
broadband, yeah. Everyone who's on cable there gets broadband, so.
I mean, if you look at Carroll, I remember being a commissioner. Carroll County, which you can see from outer space, it's so big, has a population of Rochester.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but it's spread out everywhere. So
Mhm.
it's-
Yeah, the cable companies have already gone to the places where they can hook up the lines really quickly. You know, some of the downtown areas and
Tough to get
Moultonborough
critical mass
and
on
Wakefield and
anything.
Wolfboro and Conway.
Actually, CCI has effectively said, well, they said that their budget is $500 per passing, which if you work backwards means they have to have 60 passings per mile. And like,
Where do you find that?
You're not gonna get that hit here.
well, you're doing Conway?
Yeah,
and-
not here though.
No, you're probably in the 20s,
Well, their
Both.
position, when they came
Maybe.
in,
maybe.
it was, what I got from their position was, we don't really need the town to tell us it's okay to do it, we're just gonna do it ourselves.
Well, that's bullshit.
And
There's nothing to do
I
with their,
Yeah, well, you're not gonna do it with your own money, you wanna use our money for all intents and
Right.
purposes. And we're not gonna give you the money unless we're part of the deal.
Right.
And they were giving us rates good for a year,
right, yeah, that's,
and that's,
do you realize the last money they raised was from a private equity firm?
Illinois.
It was Searchlight Capital out of New York. They raised $425 million about 18 months ago. And they gave 35% of the common equity of the company to Searchlight. Plus they gave preferred shares with a face value of $425 million, earning 9% dividends. These guys own the company.
Yeah,
I think it was on the verge of bankruptcy. To get a deal like that, it had to be.
yeah, 9% return, that's not bad.
And so the question for you
18
is,
months ago was a really good deal.
right, do you want those guys owning your monopoly broadband?
Well, and that's, I mean, we're gonna have to talk to the cable company at some
Yeah.
juncture. Because our cable contract's gonna expire. But we really have nothing, when we go to the table, there's nothing for us there.
Right.
We can't negotiate anything with the cable company, so. I mean, we're a board of three, but from my perspective, putting another deal like that together doesn't make any sense for anybody. I mean, at least, my thought with the co-op is at least we can throw the people out if we don't like
Right,
it.
that's, yeah,
Or, I think there are public controls over your finances if it gets out of hand,
yeah.
more so than it would be.
Well, actually, the real controls are, we've got a bank.
Yeah,
That the CFC, which is the Co-op Finance Corp, is basically the bank to the co-ops. And they're the ones that keep us honest.
yeah.
And, you know, before we do anything with broadband, we go talk to them and show them what the plans are and what the numbers look like. And so banks will keep you honest.
Yeah, well, investment bankers, I guess, will keep you honest to a certain degree. They get a good enough return.
Right.
Their terms.
Yeah. So that's, we hope to get here we hope to get here as soon as you want us to get here, but unfortunately we can't move. Well,
So how does that procedure work?
what's
And
that?
we haven't made up our minds, we haven't had a vote,
Yeah,
and I've done an awful lot of the talking here, and I don't know why.
yeah.
but
Well, but we're not.
What happens after today?
There, I'm not here to ask you for anything, because, actually, like CCI, we could build fiber here just as they could build fiber here. Really, just here to say, I think our solution is better than their solution, And we'd like your support when we go for grant applications. That's the main thing.
And we're still, I mean, just taking part of that comment out, we're still totally out of control, out of the control. In other words, you could come in and build cable, and we could say, no, we don't want you here. Just like
CCI could.
CCI could
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
So we really don't have anything to say about it.
Right.
Okay.
And that's not me trying to shove it down your throat or anything, that's just.
Well, no, I mean,
the way it
it's
is,
nice
yeah.
to know what the rules of the game are.
Right, yeah. Yeah, anybody could do it, actually. The interesting thing about broadband is it's completely unregulated, and which is the problem. I mean, if you want to cut through it, it should be a regulated utility. And then everybody would have service, and it would be good service at a reasonable price.
So the FCC doesn't get involved, or the FTC, or anything?
There's too many vested incumbents that protect and battle. That's what's gonna happen when this money starts flowing out of Concord, is there's gonna be everybody and his brother
Yeah.
want to pass it. And I do think that we are kind of a good custodian for the public money.
Well, we don't have the ability or the wherewithal to lobby for that money anyway. There aren't enough of us, and we
Right.
have other things we're doing.
Yeah,
So we kind of need a lobbying arm.
right, yeah, and we'd be happy to do that.
So at some point in the future, if we vote this way, do we need to come up with some kind of an agreement?
No. Well, in fact, there was a town meeting in Wentworth, back at town meeting cycle, and they had a 1.8 million bond issue on the warrant for CCI to fund the building of the network under the deal where CCI builds it and then owns it at the end after
You pay for it.
you pay for it with a premium on your bills. And so I went in and I got up and I just spoke to the members and I said, I just want you to make an informed decision. Because we had just announced 2 weeks before, we were gonna build to 100% of Wentworth is our territory. I said, we're gonna build here. And they were like, well, we don't know if we want you. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Well, we have to build through Wentworth to get to the other towns that we're building to, and we're not asking you for anything. They finally figured out that the bond wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
But that CCI is still there talking to them.
So we just have to wait
Yeah, and
and it'll happen?
yeah, we should keep in touch and
Any way to move it along?
Is
Get higher on the list?
Is Moultonborough going with you guys? Or did they go with somebody else?
Moultonborough is 100% co-op.
So it's
I talked to them about.
It's not too far to come south of there.
I actually looked at, there were some areas of Moultonborough right along the border with Sandwich about coming south because we're building there. And actually, now I'm getting into like inside baseball, but one thing I've learned is you don't build towns, you build your distribution network. And the distribution network goes wherever it goes. And like in Sandwich, we ended up making a commitment and a plan to the town lines, which is just stupid. And so we were looking at extending it, but it turned out to be easier to build it when we got the other way. So we're not doing that, but I know Bill Gassman, I don't know if you know Bill Gassman, he's their broadband guy.
Oh, they're a big town, they got a broadband guy.
Yeah.
We got a lobbying guy.
Well, usually the committee is.
Yeah, we got a committee, that's right.
Oh, that's a tough, I went to that meeting,
The first one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you met since then?
Oh, yeah, a couple of times. Yeah, it's gonna be slow going. The committee's well-intentioned,
Oh, God.
absolutely well-intentioned. But I just think that if there's an agreement to be made, if there's some kind of process that we need to go through, it's gonna be forever. And we might be better off just trying to do something on our own.
Are
But
you talking about the county?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've read minutes and watched.
But you're telling us that we don't need to do anything. We just kind of have to wait and you'll show up and start dropping wires.
Right. Well, we want you to help us, because we're gonna look for grant money.
Yeah?
So we want you to help us, write letters and support of us in our applications. And also.
Do you write draft letters and we just sign them?
We could do that, yeah. Because all it is, these grant applications are, who supports it, and you just attach letters to it. I do have to work on Matt Klatch a bit to get him on board, because he's focused on, it seemed to be focused on, well, you're only gonna serve half the county. And it's like, well, isn't serving half the county better than serving none of the county? Like, can't you support us to do that? And then we work with you to figure out how to do the rest. And in fact, we were just having some discussions with a nonprofit, very successful operation in Vermont that uses revenue bonds. And they're interested in doing areas of Grafton that we're not doing. So I said, why don't you look at Carroll? And so they might do that. And so then we could put together a plan that makes sense, where we can get what we want, the county can get what we want, and these guys can get what they want.
Great.
Good. Well, I'll send you some
Yeah, that'd be good.
drawings so you have it. I have
Thank
to
you, Leo.
make sure I don't send you any like top secret. Utilities are really conscious that Putin's gonna take over your grid or something if we show it to
Or
you. So,
shut you down.
yeah. Anyway, good.
You can put it on paper and mail it to us.
That's right. Good to see you, Bob.
Thank you.
With the high price of kerosene, keep my electric lights on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, electricity is getting more expensive.
Not cheap.
Okay.
And I love your town hall. It's a nice little building.
Thank you.
Next up, I'm gonna run a little late, is Gary Burnett. Is that you, Gary?
Yes, that's me.
All right.
Good evening.
Hey there.
Hi, Gary Grant. Hi, Bob. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Guy. How are you? Never been to your meetings before.
Well.
It's a pleasure.
Well,
Mr. Hogan. Don't know how much you know about me, but I represent the Abenaki Tower and Trail Association. How many of you ever heard of us? Okay, good. Good. You got that part down.
my grandfather shingled the original tower.
Did he?
Yeah, and a guy by the name of, named after his grandfather shingled it again before they tore it down.
Get out.
Yeah,
What, last name?
Pike.
Yeah, okay. I think I remember reading that name in the history.
Probably did.
Back there, yeah. As you know, we're coming up on the 100th anniversary, 2024. We're a nonprofit. We got about maybe 100 members at best. We keep a low profile. We just meet once a year. We try to encourage membership and raise a little money towards the rebuilding of the next tower, which probably within the next 20 years or so, you think. So anyway, we're applying, what we're doing now is a little project. It's called, I'm applying for a historic roadside marker in the state of New Hampshire. And I'm just here to ask you for a letter of endorsement to go along with my application package. I've got the petition signatures, I've got a form filled out, I've got some historical research a little bit done. You might have seen the town, Dufferin Road Times, there's a little story in there about the.
Yeah, there was a little issue with that. The caption under the picture said the 100-year-old tower, which is not 100-year-old.
No, you're right, technically it's not, no. Okay. Good eye, guy. To be accurate, okay, you got me on that one. Just came to see if you'd be interested, well, for us to put in the application to the state, I got everything I need except one last piece, and that's your piece.
Okay.
And just say, yeah, we're okay with it, so that's what I'm here to ask of you. So I have a draft of one that I've done up. I can show you the language that we're proposing to put on the sign. I can show you the signatures that I got. I got 5 or 6 pages of
draft of your letter.
petition.
Yeah, that'd
Okay,
be
you just want to
very
see the
good.
draft? Okay.
Mhm.
And try to keep it real short and sweet, and I can provide it on electronic copy if it helps. And kind of did a template that I got from the state. They said, you know, here's what they did in some other town for some other purpose.
I move that we cooperate and sign this
Yeah,
letter.
I'll second for discussion.
Yeah.
I think all 3 of us need to sign it. So we can reconstruct this letter.
Yeah, please,
And
anyway,
to you.
whatever
Mhm.
sounds best to you.
I think the intent is that we're fully in support of it.
I agree with that, and I also agree that we should all 3 sign it. And
So there's the motion.
there is a motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, super.
So,
So I can email this to you folks if you like.
yeah,
Yeah.
email it to Ken.
Okay,
and she'll
Take
put
care
the
of it.
letter
I'm
together.
happy to do that, wonderful. Wonderful, okay. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right.
Nothing
Good
to
luck.
it.
Good luck.
Appreciate
That
it.
was easy.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, just move it along.
Jane.
Get this done for our 100th anniversary
send it
of the association, I should say.
Okay.
All right, we'll get it done. Thanks so much. Nice
Well,
meeting you all.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, the next person up is only an hour late.
I can attest this.
Yeah, you should know that you're supposed to come in here.
We asked if you were here.
You
I
are.
said no.
They said no.
So the next item for business is the transfer station. And I gotta open it up for a public hearing. Notice on, where is that stuff? Actually. I had the rates, we're changing the rate schedule at the transfer station to reflect waste oil. I'm gonna be charging for waste oil disposal at the transfer station. That's the proposal and that's the public hearing. So I'll open it up for any comments about what we're charging and to whom we're charging it.
Well, first it says we would propose to charge $1 per quart and $5 per gallon. There's 4 quarts in a gallon.
The math doesn't work there.
They're not imperial gallons. So do you wanna make a,
I have my letter, so I don't know what we, yeah, it should be, I thought my letter said $1.25 a quart. Or 2, I didn't even think that we said,
I remember.
I don't even think we put quarts in there. I thought we just said 2.50.
okay, but what we have structured right here, Chris, is what we gotta talk about today. So if we wanna change those numbers, let's change them here at the public hearing.
Do we need a motion?
No, we're having a public hearing. What we'll do is, when we finalize the numbers and come to an agreement on that, then we'll make a motion.
And all I need to do is worry about $4.61 a gallon.
How much?
$4.61 a gallon.
A gallon?
That's our cost.
That's our cost.
That's
Our cost for disposal, but it doesn't cover any of the overhead. So $5 a gallon isn't an excessive amount of money.
No, it's not.
So do you wanna go $1.25 a quart, or do you wanna not take quarts?
We don't, well, I mean, it's just gonna be so, labor intensive to deal with people coming in with a quart, or, oh, this isn't, I only have a third of a gallon, or, I mean, well, this gallon jug is only half full, or,
Right.
it's just gonna be having the guys have to deal with that headache, it's, if you bring a gallon jug in, it's $5. This is what I'm doing with these guys that come in with brush. If you come in with a dump trailer, it's $40. If you don't load your dump trailer full of brush, shame on you. Either load it full of brush or don't. But I'm not gonna
Always
do it.
$40.
No,
So let's eliminate the quart.
Okay, so it's $5.
A gallon. And if we eliminate the quart entirely, then that settles that.
Well, I don't know. I think you're gonna be I hate to get hung up on something so trivial, so petty, but, you get people that change their oil in their lawnmower, and you've got a quart of oil there. They're not gonna wanna hang out.
quite frankly, I'm telling these people, listen, take some oil for Walmart, it's free to dispose of.
Right.
And I go, oh, it is? Okay. Take it to VIP auto. They deal with such volume.
Well, I like the simplicity of $5 a gallon. It sounds as though this is going to be the last time we talk about this. You do that. And I'm not certain if we know, we're not charging currently, so we don't know what the ramifications are of charging until we start to charge.
Right.
And then how many people with quarts are gonna come in and,
Well, we had a guy come in Saturday with 15-gallon jugs across his tailgate. The guy's taking oil, and I said, we're still discussing the charge right now.
I think you should charge by the quart, not by the gallon. That way that leaves you the ability to charge, if somebody comes in with 15 gallons or 16 gallons, quarts, you can just do the math and charge them accordingly. If you just charge by the gallon, it's gonna create a problem for people that come in with lesser quantities.
then you need to, if you're, okay, if you're gonna go into the small numbers, quarts, let's say, then your rate's gonna have to be not a divisor of
I know.
the cost, it's gonna be like $1.50.
You're dealing with change.
Yes.
Yeah, well, not only that, but you're dealing with a lot of little pieces as opposed to big pieces.
Mhm.
So it takes more man time.
Yeah.
So
What's your recommendation?
Deal with whole numbers and deal with,
Because you're the one that's gonna deal with it.
right, I like whole numbers, I like just dealing with one. I like dealing with simple and bulk, if we're gonna deal with gallons, deal with gallons, Like both are $1 and $2.
all right, but let's take it to the operation of it. Is the average citizen gonna have an ability to tell us that they would like the system? I mean, I know what you folks would like is $5 a gallon across the board, that's it. But how many 1 or 2 quart citizens are there who are just gonna get lost in the weeds because we don't wanna listen to them?
People are gonna be vocal if they don't like it. Most of the people who come in with a jug, or a bucket. We don't have the kind of people that come in with
Well, a gallon's not a lot.
2 quart,
Speak, Robert. Where are you coming down? Are you still on a quart?
No, I want him to give us his recommendation, because he's the one that's gonna deal with it.
Okay.
And I'd be happy with his recommendation.
I'm not, I think we should go with the gallon.
All right,
Okay, so $5 a gallon.
right, eliminate the.
Eliminate the $1 per quart.
Yeah.
So now, that was the only issue before us for the public hearing,
No.
or was there? more?
I have another.
Okay,
It says here, when it comes to propane tanks, do not accept tanks greater than 20 pounds, and yet there's a fee schedule for a 40-pound tank and a 100-pound tank. Are we accepting 40-pound tanks and 100-pound tanks, or are we not accepting bigger than 20 pounds?
I don't see it, well, it says see attendant, I don't understand why this is on here, because we've always accepted this. There's always been a charge for it.
Okay,
So
so
this should be.
just
that.
eliminate the
Yes,
dirt.
correct,
Okay,
actually,
fine.
eliminate.
Good, that was the only thing
Yeah,
that's,
so I'm gonna leave the motion up to you, Mr. Pike.
yeah, that should be eliminated.
if there's no other public input on this?
Well,
Where it is.
He isn't outstanding.
You must live in town.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Ty,
I have some opinions about it,
A
but
smart chief.
yeah, tires is another one that's subjective. You've got trucks that have little tires and you've got cars that have big tires.
Correct.
Should we be charging by tire size versus truck cars and other, or what? Are you happy? Are you
Well,
happy
we
with that?
have, we charge, basically, the tire rate is fluid. And for instance, that might be something that we want to adjust now, like a farm tire of a farm tractor. The NRA charge now for like a tractor tire is $105. That's what it costs us to get rid of it.
And that would qualify as other.
Correct. $105.
$2.
And is that based on weight?
That's based on disposal size.
So we should be charging by tire size.
$105
All right.
for that tire.
But can we come up with a schedule? I don't know that we're gonna do that
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But with truck tires, we get $10. Car tires are $4.
But I think what Bob was getting at is it can't be arbitrary. I mean, you can't charge me $5 for my 20-inch tires and charge him $20 for his 15-inch
Yeah, that
tires.
doesn't
You know,
happen.
just,
I mean, tires are $4
yeah.
straight across the
Right.
board.
I understand the intent, but there's so much subjectivity here that
Yeah, I know.
you get screwed.
The other thing could just, that could go away. I mean,
Do we want to structure another meeting where we review all of our rates? Are there more? I mean,
Well, if we're gonna be talking about rates, I'm gonna bring up the $5 sticker as well.
that $5 sticker could go to 20 because it's a 2-year sticker.
I don't think we should be charging for stickers, period.
Well, then that's what including the taxes.
That's right, we're paying to use our dump and our real estate taxes. I think $5 sticker is little money as it is, it's double taxation. And we shouldn't be charging for stickers. For the first one. If you want a second one because you have a second car, sure, I have no problem charging that, but the first sticker I think should be free.
Okay, but if we're gonna do that, Bob,
Mm-hmm.
we need to do it to 2023,
I understand.
because he's already
Yeah,
calculated it.
it's in the budget, I get that.
I mean, I remember buying stickers and then handing them out,
Mhm.
because I'm a firm believer that everybody should have a dump sticker.
Yep. I think all they have to do is prove that they're a taxpayer in town and they get handed a sticker, whether it be from your office or this office.
I think that's a discussion for another day, but I think it's a good discussion to have for 2023.
Yep.
And he'll have an opportunity to adjust his budget for 2023 and eliminate that sticker problem.
This was my segue. Thank you.
All right, let's vote
all right,
on,
I'd like to say something if I could.
who are you?
I'm a citizen, taxpayer.
You're gonna leave a silver bullet.
I told Guy last week I'm not letting troublemakers jump in.
Oh, all right.
Alright.
I understand the need to cover costs, but I also understand there's another side of this. You start charging, your fees start going up, we're gonna find them on the side of the road.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
People are gonna dump the oil in their yard,
yeah,
or they'll stuff it in their trash and just hide it instead of disposing of it properly. So you gotta offset the two parts of it, that's all. If you start charging $100 for a tire, which covers the cost of the town to dispose of it, I understand, but we're gonna be called about it in the woods. And so I think that's the other part of it. I mean, I understand, and we also don't wanna be so low that, hey, it's cheaper to bring them to Tuftonboro to throw our tires out than it is going to Ossipee, you know, so
which is where all this oil's coming from.
I mean, we had a line of shingles one time coming down 171 from over the Ossipee line to our transfer station a couple of years ago. And we found appliances on the side of the road with no idea where they came from. So it's a balancing act, I understand, but I think it shouldn't be looking at revenue, it should be looking at some way of making sure we're not,
It's not
Get
that
hit,
it's
but
not that
it's-
we're looking at revenue, we're looking at offsetting a cost increase that was unexpected.
I understand. I understand all that, but I think we have to look at the side effect if it goes too high or too onerous a process too.
Have you done a study on other towns around to see where we are?
everything that before I recommend anything, I look at other towns and I've always checked with Dover, Rochester, you know, Belmont, Oakville, and where, you know, in line or lower than any town. I mean, they charge, you know, the TVs and refrigerators and they're in line or way above anything that we have, you know.
Are other towns doing the same thing with oil?
You know, some are still free, some charge.
But some of the towns are using it.
Yeah, some towns.
So, and we talked about that almost ad nauseum. It just doesn't, we don't generate enough oil to make it feasible. And then the oil that comes in half the time is contaminated with antifreeze or some other non-combustible.
But I don't know how, Wolfboro's town garage has an oil furnace, but they use that.
That's
But
the
they use their controlled oil from their equipment. But the transfer station just ships out their oil that they take in.
And they have a full-time highway department, they maintain it themselves.
Correct.
We don't have it there.
Yeah, but it's-
So I'm ready for a motion on the oil disposal.
I make a motion that we approve the cost to dispose of a gallon of oil at $5.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's gonna close up the public hearing. And we'll just notice that we're gonna have further discussion on the rate structure sometime in the.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and it should be in the fall.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't wanna mess with it in the middle of a budget year. I'd rather mess with it
That was a
looking
small
forward to
one.
another budget year. Right. Anything else going on? Are you gonna get
I
your?
gave you some more numbers, just let you know where we are in the
Yep.
kind of fiscal year. Just,
Just almost,
we're just about even,
just,
yeah. Up in a couple areas, down, just a smidge.
CNG's up,
Yeah.
process is down.
We're up by one in propane.
Yep.
Oils and tubes just happened to be exactly the same as we were last year. I don't know how that happened. Metal was way up.
Well, there's money in that, well, no, you don't pay for it. That's right.
Glass is up by half. Plastic is,
So the metal revenue should be up.
yeah, should be up by about half.
the next time you come in, Chris, will be June,
Correct, yeah.
so you should be able to give us some revenue numbers.
Yes, yes, next, but I'll have, my April numbers will reflect some revenue. So this, wood cost figures for March were about 4,100, if you look at this
Yeah.
sheet here. And I think, for April, it's looking like we got cut out. So it should be April.
Oh, your money is way up.
April is like, people don't have that we completed yet because they don't have all the waste management numbers in yet.
And do you have your Island Day set?
Yes,
Okay.
July 17th, Friday. It's either Friday the 16th or Saturday.
July 9. I'll bring that up there.
July 15th, Friday. And I just had a couple training announcements. Some guys went to 3 training sessions that some of the guys went to this past April. And myself and Barry have been going to the DES training in May 16th and 17th in Manchester. This is 12 hours of continuing education so that we can get license hours. So we got to continue to get the license.
You have to do continuing education every year for your license?
Yeah. So everybody's on track with the licenses, so they'll have their hours to keep their license, so we're on top of that.
And the thing, employee reviews, need to remember to do those. I don't want you to get people like the chief of police and completely blow it off. So we need to be working at those.
I'll take a look at annual.
That was uncalled for.
The chief,
Yes.
Take a look at annual rates and, yeah.
you can review the files, take a look at what they've done, how it looks, and then just recreate it for 2022.
I just went through all the training files and redid training files and all that stuff.
Right.
So, all right,
Okay,
anything else?
that's it.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for coming by.
Anytime.
Yes, you take care.
I only have one thing for signature by the looks of things here, and it's a tax abatement. Did you guys have a chance to look at
I
it?
did not see that.
Okay. Have a look. I think we need to have Rod come in at some point, because of,
I think we mentioned that last meeting, we had a bunch of this stuff that we kind of,
right,
like a little
this
clarification.
one was an obvious mistake.
Mhm.
He was appraising something or assessing something that wasn't the first instance. So,
It can happen.
I'm sure it can, but we also are paying him some money to do a complete
Oh,
revamp
yes.
on the town. I don't know how that's going. We need to-
Now, this isn't $19 because it was late in the mail, is it?
No,
No.
no. And, you know, if people are, who people are, they get a little wordy in their requests. So, I mean, they're obviously.
Are you suggesting that we don't sign this until he comes in?
No, not at all. I want to make sure we're all up to speed on this
I
issue.
see what he's done. Okay, I make a motion that we sign this abatement.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, just so long as we're all up to speed on it, I'm happy. You're happy. Did you have something in particular for us, Chief?
I didn't, two things. One, I didn't know if you had, we're gonna discuss the email from RDA, USDA.
I'll answer that first question first. I don't know if my brothers have read that.
I've had a chance to briefly read it. I didn't.
Okay, I don't know if we're ready for discussion on it or. Next question.
I did locate a Tahoe, and I just need approval to go forward with the purchase of it. It's black, it's only, but it's in Mass, Liberty Chevrolet. It's from the Plymouth County bid, so it was an open bid, and that was $44,376.65.
Okay, the question I asked you when you presented that to me in the hall
Yeah,
was, and how much other money is gonna be involved?
it'll probably be 20, 30,000. Probably close to 30,000 for the rest.
Can we get a firmer number on that? Cause you're at 44,000, is that what the number was?
Yep, that's for the vehicle itself.
Okay,
It's 36, right?
yeah, you got 36,000.
Yeah, leaves, yeah, 35,000, say, for a rounder number.
5, okay.
Yeah, our job isn't to spend the whole budget, our job is to get the equipment that you need for the price that is fair.
The last vehicle we got a couple years ago cost us about 76,000
Okay,
to equip and install everything. This one, and that was, the vehicle was 37,000 to buy it. So, I mean, nothing's gone down since then. There's nothing, we're gonna be able to transfer over.
Nothing can transfer from one vehicle to the other?
No, it's old. It's very
and I
old
guess
stuff.
the issue in my mind.
Except for the video system, I may be able to do the video and the computer, so that will save some. Oh wait, there's no computer in that one. We can probably transfer it out of another. Yes,
The difference is 20 to 30,000, $10,000, which is twice as much money as they pay me to do this job. So I'd like to know a little firmer, is it 30? Is it 27? Is it 40? I mean, I don't want to, personally, I'm not ready to vote for $44,000 purchase unless I've got a firm figure on what it's going to end up costing for the whole deal. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Is it possible to get that number?
I can get that number. Obviously, there's a very limited number of vehicles out there.
Right.
So that's my, and I mean, the vehicles, there's like 3 or 4 different vendors we're talking here. It's not gonna change the, you know,
So this is time sensitive?
I kind of feel it is, because there's only so many vehicles sitting there, as far as I know. And that's why I can only get black. I mean, I contacted other dealers that supposedly had them according to Chevy, but they never got back to me.
And what's the brand on this one?
It's Chevrolet Tahoe. But I mean, there was no, I mean, I contacted Georgia because I was trying to find a silver one, you know, and Detroit, and I contacted dealers. I mean, this is the only, I think Connecticut had like 2 other vehicles besides this place. And they had like 2 or 3, and they were more expensive in Connecticut. So, that's the thing. It's like if I don't, I'm worried I'm sitting on, this vehicle's sitting there, there's a limited number of them, and then it's gonna be, God only knows when I get, because it'll be the next fall's orders.
All right, well, I don't know what the board wants to do, so I'm gonna make a motion that we allow you to purchase this vehicle for $44,000.
A second.
I'll get you the rest of the numbers on the equipment and outfitting.
If we buy the cruiser for the 44 and change. It seems to me we have no choice, regardless of the cost, but to equip it. We can't just let it sit up.
No, I appreciate that.
That's all, that's my comment.
Okay.
And I can't, again, what happened last time with the other one, it sat out here because we got delivered from Ohio. It had to get titled in Ohio, it had to come back. The title, it took some time to get that sorted out. And then there was supply issues, getting parts together and get it
Right,
scheduled.
the title issue had nothing to do with the time.
Oh, it added about 3 weeks.
It added 3 weeks to your ability to drive it on the road, but you weren't gonna drive it anyway.
Right.
Because you didn't have it equipped.
Right, but
So
then,
that was what was holding the car up. not
no,
the title.
it was also the supply waiting for the parts. And then once the
Sure.
parts, I couldn't get it scheduled until all the parts are in. And that was in December, I got it.
All right,
Let's get it.
and remember that in your budget, you've got radio equipment and all
Right.
kinds of other stuff, so.
Yes, I understand that. The radio will be in the budget.
And if we don't completely deplete this warrant article, that money just sits there and rolls over. I mean, I think that would be our ultimate goal, would be not to completely expend the warrant article just because it's sitting there. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say drive an imperfect car. What I'm trying to say is let's keep our eye on the ball, that's all. All right, so we've got a motion, we've got a second. Do we have any more discussion?
I'm done.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
May I take the opportunity to ask the chief a question on another matter?
Absolutely.
I have been inundated with comments and questions and suggestions to make the intersection at the Four Corners safer.
Yeah,
My question to you is, has anyone been fined for running that stop sign in any of these accidents?
I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I've heard the excuse, I didn't see the sign.
Mhm.
That says to me they either need stronger glasses or they don't need a driver's license, because I can see it from hundreds of yards away. I can't see the sign, I don't get this, so obviously the law's been violated if they run through the sign. Is it,
I think I'm gonna take it upon myself to call a road agent and get that rusted pole lifted out of there and pull the plant out of there too, because that's in the right of way. Then there is absolutely nothing blocking the view of that sign, even the partial blocking that little.
yeah, that really doesn't do much. Okay, is it inappropriate to find someone that runs that sign? Should it be done? Could it be done?
It can be done.
Would you think it might start to send a message if people knew that? I don't know, I'm asking your opinion, you're the police officer, not me.
I don't think anybody's doing it because they're like thinking, there's very few people that I know of that have had those accidents there
Mhm.
that have consciously done this, you know what I'm saying? So my point is, finding person X is not gonna change person Y's behaviors
The
if
mens
they're not
rea-
consciously doing it, huh?
The mens rea was missing.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not like, you know, 'cause it's not like we're putting in the paper, hey, so-and-so got a ticket for stop sign up there, so it makes the public news and could modify public behavior. In other words, the people who've gone through have not been thinking, geez, no, I'm gonna blow through the stop sign, you know what I'm saying? So I
Well, why did
don't
they-
think it modifies their behavior. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done at times.
I ran the stop sign and it totaled my car.
Yeah.
Now this guy is giving me a ticket, my day's already bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who knows why they run it, but if it's distracted driving, for example, which could happen.
Yeah.
But there's already a statute I could cite on that too,
Yes,
so.
you could. No one's going to admit to it. All right, that was my question. Thank you
I'm
for
not
your-
adverse to it, but I
Yeah.
mean, it does, and it's not the same, to put it in another perspective, not that this is an excuse, but it's not the same as if I saw somebody go through the stop sign.
Right.
I have to go do a warrant and come back and find that person, track them down and hand them that summons.
Okay.
As
But
opposed to if
you
it occurred in my
said you
presence.
run the stop sign, it would be nice if you did ticket them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that goes for any stop sign.
Yeah.
Good.
Except for the one at the school, which I roll through all the time.
Like the cameras running, you know, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I'm not adverse to it. If the conditions warrant, I don't know that it'll affect other behavior either though.
Well, now that you don't
Future
have court news in the paper like we used to, the public shaming thing is gone. I think it's one of the most effective methods of controlling the public myself, but.
Well, now you have the internet for public shaming. You don't need the newspaper, right?
Okay, thanks, chief.
Yeah.
Go buy a car.
Yeah, enjoy yourself.
All right. Thank you.
And you're back to full staff?
No,
Okay.
that's still next
Are
week.
we gonna need a non-public?
Well, it's up to you. If you
It's
want
here.
to, we
Well,
can, so I can update you as to where we're at.
yeah, because you're gonna have to make a decision before we meet again, I believe, aren't you?
I will hopefully have some more information between now and then, but I don't know that it's decision time.
I thought that next decision time was next Monday.
Should have some more information on that date, yes. I don't
Right,
know what
let's
I'll
have
get
a-
for information.
Let's have a non-public, unless you're,
No, I'm fine with that.
okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be,
No, I know you're not, but we can't talk about it
Yeah.
completely in
Yeah.
public. All right. Fine. Okay, correspondence. I guess we need to, at some point in time, put on our agenda a vote on this telephone possibility. And one other question, I'm sure you read all these, or you probably.
I scanned them, I'm gonna read them later on.
Okay. I don't think we're ready to have a.
No, I
vote or anything.
I never suggested
But
that.
my question, and this is to you, because you know more about it than I do, is I'm getting this information that, okay, yeah, you buy the system, you own the system, I like that. But you rent the system, you get all of this IP, whatever, IPO, or IP, voice over internet.
Voice over internet protocol.
Right,
Yes.
but that happens in the rental.
I
It
think
doesn't happen in-
that happens in any phone that we get.
Okay.
It's gonna be over the wires, it's gonna be over the internet.
And there's gonna be fees involved with that if we buy?
No. You connect to the internet, your voice goes over the internet, and arrives at the other place, and we have internet here. There's no extra fee attached to that
Okay.
protocol.
All
You
right.
can have the voice transfer back and forth over copper wires, or you can have it come in over the internet.
I just think that it's important that we have that voice internet capacity, that
Absolutely.
it doesn't adversely affect our buying versus renting
No.
calculus.
No, not at all. And I think, but because we're discussing it, I think renting is not the way to go. I think purchasing it is.
Well, it is, if cost-wise, it's like a month and a half's rent,
Yeah.
or a year and a half's rent. But if you're losing out on some other aspect, that was what my question was all
No.
about.
And the person to better answer those questions is the phone vendor. And I'd be happy to invite him in.
Okay, why don't we put a phone vendor day together? It doesn't have to be the next week.
No, but it should be the meeting that we meet at 9 o'clock in the morning, not be at 4:30.
Right,
Um,
okay. Can I leave that up to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I got responses from my question to Tyler Phillips. You read those?
Yes.
Yes.
Why did the price go up to $440,000? I think we need to invite Tyler in. Because I wasn't certain from his answer, back up a little bit. I'm certain that we established the warrant article money premised upon the whole job. Now I'm finding out that it's just the infill pier, not the cement extension, would be covered by the 287. That said, is it 60,000 or 100,000? I'm not sure. We need a little firmer basis. I think we have money enough to do the old pier currently. We don't have money enough to do the old pier and the cement pier, but I don't think he's got his permits in line for both projects either.
Doesn't seem that way when I read through it.
Right.
Yeah, have him in.
Yeah, and that'll give us an opportunity to look at the warrant article, to see if we can run it out through 2023, if that's what we have to do.
Well, frankly, that'd help bring me up to speed too on the whole project, because I wasn't involved with it
Yeah.
in the past.
Okay, let's do that.
I would love.
So I'll have Cammy get Tyler in. Okay. Selectmen's updates. Guy, anything good?
I've pretty much just been bombarded with concerns and questions and suggestions about the intersection at the Four Corners. And explaining to people that the state puts the signs up, etc. The one thing that was suggested that the town might do was to apply rumble strips the next time that we pave those roads. I can't say that I'm in favor of that particularly, but it's something that we would have control over on the roads rather than the state. So that's the only suggestion I found that we had anything that we might do. One thing, I will not be here next Monday per the schedule that I presented some months ago. So please carry on without me. That's all I have.
Okay, Bob?
I have nothing between last meeting and this.
So does that alter, or when are we meeting next Monday? Is it afternoon?
9 o'clock, second Monday.
Excuse me.
Calendar here, I'd have to look it up. Yes.
Are you gone for the week?
No,
That's the day.
I will be back that evening around 9 o'clock p.m.
How you coming, Bob?
The 9th is at 9 a.m.
I am. I mean, I don't see any reason to move the meeting, like the Tuesday or Wednesday.
No, I think it'd be
Unless
just
there's
fine.
something special happening. I don't know.
I don't think so.
All right. That's it for you, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. The chief and I had a conversation online with the rural development people. Why don't we next Monday do that?
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll review that. You've read the conversation or the answers to the questions?
Yes, I'm gonna read through them again, even though I won't be here, but if I had something I can email
Send them
them.
over. Right.
So let somebody know what's going on.
So let's settle that out or try to get some direction there.
Do you have any objection to me seeing if I can get the phone guy here to next Monday?
No, not at all. It's totally out of my area of expertise.
Yeah, but you want to be informed, so you'll have it on videotape, you can watch it.
Exactly.
We can't make a decision
No,
because we're gonna have to find some money somewhere to do that decision if we make that
but we
decision.
can take
And
information.
the three of us need to be together when we start talking about money.
We can do that. It'd be fine.
So did that, talk to Tyler.
Did
I
you have
disagree
something to
with
say?
Bob on his,
Hold on. Did you have something to say?
Well, just on the phone, I know when I talked to Lakes Region, VoIP does not work, may not work for our alarm system here. It goes over the phone.
Mhm.
And our fax machines.
Yep.
So that's part of the conversation.
There's no reason, and those are separate lines.
Yeah. Those separate lines. I just wanted to make sure everybody was on.
Yeah, and there's no reason that you can't maintain copper lines for those sensitive devices.
Yeah.
You're up, boss.
I disagree with your position vis-à-vis the meetings at the county. We need to notice them. The reason you're there, the reason Guy's there is for town business. And even though you're not gonna be making any decisions or doing any of that good stuff, it just, it's the perception of impropriety that's gonna get you in trouble before the impropriety will ever get you.
Well, I asked the question and I got the answer. There's no reason that you can't if you want to.
Yeah. I think-
But I'm suggesting that we don't have to.
I think it's cleaner if you do, but that's.
It's fine.
Island Day is July 9th. I'm definitely going because it's the only day I got a boat ride. If one of you or both of you want to go as well, we need to notice that meeting. It's out on Ragged Island.
Right, so we have a week or two.
Yeah,
So I can go home and look at my calendar.
Yeah, you gotta do it too. Your
Good.
vacation schedule is pretty dense.
What
Yes, it
happens?
is.
What happens on Island Day?
Island Day, the fire chief goes out, generally an officer of the law goes out. And
Who's gonna go?
And tell them what's going on with the town. If there are issues, I mean, any number of issues have come up. The Wolfboro septic system came up a number of times. The trash day. So if you want to avoid having that argument, don't go. So Island Day for trash comes up. Broadband will come up. I hadn't even thought about aerial transmission of the signal
Yeah.
over a short distance, but that makes a lot of sense.
It sure does.
Sure.
Makes it a lot easier.
Cable underwater.
There's a private company that does it now in our county. Yeah.
Did I ask him to talk? You know what the county needs to do? I'll tell you what the county needs to do. So it's things like that, so just think it over during Island Day. What the county needs to do, what they need to spend their money on, what Platch needs to spend his time on, is the railroad line from Ospey Aggregates to Coleman's. That 12 miles of railroad line would link Carroll County to the world, and they do nothing about it. And that would cost you a whole lot less than broadband. So just, I know people think railroads are archaic, but they really aren't. Get out there and enjoy them. All right, any other public comment?
I have,
Oh, okay.
naturally.
Jesus.
Okay. I disagree with your decision, your vote
I vote.
on Andy, on Chief Shiguri buying another vehicle.
Okay.
Somehow, some way, that warrant article has kind of get buried and went to the dust. Mr. Pike's suggestion about taking the $80,000 at that time and possibly fixing up the other two cruisers at $40,000 apiece, it doesn't even sound like it was discussed. Okay, Bob, you're not involved, but Chip and
Well, I kind of am, but go ahead.
well, no, you weren't there to
You're talking
write the
about-
warrant
You're
articles.
talking to the wrong guy when you're talking about spending $40,000 on a $100,000 car. I don't believe that's a good place to put money. I never have thought it was a good place to put money. When Lloyd brought it up the first time, I said it wasn't a good place to put money. If a private citizen wants to do that with their own vehicle, that's their private decision. We are running public money here, and that's a poor place to put it.
Okay, fine.
All right.
But it hasn't been looked into, okay? It hasn't been discussed. I've been here, I haven't heard another word other than, Guy's last suggestion of what we could possibly do about it. We keep spending, I used to complain about the radios all the time, and they keep changing it like you change everything else. Okay, so here we go again with the vehicles, okay? We're down some people right now, okay? But the fact of the matter is, I just can't see buying another vehicle, outfitting it again, all over again. And we have, what, 2 more vehicles left? And what are we gonna do with those? Put them out for auction? Okay? Okay. That's my comment, that's my complaint, and now you heard it here
Okay.
first. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome.
And I hope the rest of the town's listening too.
I hope more people tune into you too. I think that's an admirable thing to do.
Yes.
Anything from the state there?
If you guys have any questions for me, I'm running for re-election again. I saw I have a primary.
Yeah, you're
Someone-
primary.
I know. John and I are running as a ticket though, so best of luck to her. She can Everyone's allowed to run. It's their right. But, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I just keep a close eye on this money that's coming out of Washington, because as Leo said, there's gonna be a lot of hands out for that. And I don't have a lot of faith that our governor and council are gonna be really prudent about getting that money out to the poor people.
I think they've been pretty proactive in getting those resources to the places that where there's the highest need, especially regarding infrastructure. But you know, we'll see if they keep up with it and everything. I mean, I talk with Joe Kenny regularly, and if you guys have a concern, you know, I can get you in touch with Joe Kenny. I assume you know him, Chip. You must. I mean, being involved. I think you served on the board of commissioners. I mean, yeah, with his wife, correct?
No, she
Oh, she beat you. Okay, my apologies. Oh yeah, you guys were in the same district. So
yeah, that's the problem with being a Democrat here in Carroll County. You just get thrown out of office every now and then.
Yeah, it's easy to change, you know, just a little.
No, it isn't anymore. It used to be, Bob. It used to be very easy to change.
yeah.
It isn't so much anymore.
But well, if you guys have any questions for me, you know how to get in touch with me. I know Guy and Bob and Chip, you all do. But yeah, I mean we're doing a lot of stuff in Concord. We're updating the bail stuff, as probably the chiefs noticed. So we've been busy with that. But that's what I've been really working on in the last week. It's been tough. But,
We were discussing it today, as a matter of fact, because
Yeah.
there's two bills and which way they'll go. On bail, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to the Police Chiefs Association's lobbyist, Beth Sargent. Yeah, we're arguing about it, and I told her that I think the chairman's current amendment, that was the committee amendment, was the best one for it. But we'll see. You know, it's we're trying to update it so that if someone commits a violent crime, instead of automatically going for a bail hearing in front of a bail commissioner, it'd go in front of a judge. Allows more terms of bail, you know, different terms we added to the bail agreement and everything, so makes more sense and doesn't touch the rest of the PR bail system. So, but that's kind of it. We got a lot of money coming down the pipeline to you guys with a lot of bills we're passing. I mean, there's the $66 million in bridge grants that we're going to
Really, we're on track to do our bridges in 2032. Do you think it might move up a little?
Well, if you guys are responsible for your capital improvements, so if you guys are, when this money comes, if you guys want to move up your bridges on capital improvements, then
That's how it's going to us?
what do you
It's
mean?
not just going into the bridge fund?
I think
Because they tell us-
I think it'll be regular grants that you guys apply for. Yeah.
If it's a regular grant, then that's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd have to double check with the senator, but
you know,
it's my
one of the things
understanding.
that I would have liked to have happened, aside from home rule, which is never going to happen, would be for us to be able to pay for the bridge on Tuftonboro Neck. And then when our turn comes up, you reimburse us then. But you won't do it that way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could imagine what finance would say about that, but I don't know. But we'd be reimbursing a lot of people, you know, every.
Which you are anyway.
Yeah,
The only
but
difference is now you're reimbursing at 2022 rates instead of 2032 rates.
And you've taken an unsafe bridge and made it safer earlier.
Yeah, I mean, beyond that
Right.
moral issue, but I mean, if we're talking
It's
just
a pretty
money,
important issue.
it is a pretty. You're right.
if you're just talking money, we're buying it in 2022 at today's rate.
Yeah.
But we're not asking you to refund us at 2032 rates.
Mhm.
We're asking you to refund us at 2022 rates, the amount of money we've spent. So, but that'll never happen, because
Well, look, I'll look
lost
at it,
control.
but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you know.
I mean, we're a particular town where we don't have any debt to speak of,
Yeah.
and we have issues that we need to work on. And the state has these 80-20 splits or whatever it is on bridges now, that we should be able to take advantage of, but we could realistically finance that bridge project on our own without the state. But why should that preclude us from getting that state money when it comes available?
I agree. There should be some more flexibility with how the grant programs work and everything. But
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and you know, you'd be surprised how many people go down there.
Again, God, I moved out of Rome.
Didn't take long to tear it down.
Wow.
Yeah, the barbarians are at the gate.
When,
All right,
when does the 7.5% towards retirement costs kick in?
That was changed in the Senate, so they killed the bill and they changed it. They made it so that I think it's a 1 year, so it start kicking in this year, and then they're gonna
July.
renegotiate during the budget.
Does it kick in July 1 of this year?
I'd have to double check the bill,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I know they made it just 1 year deal, but I was wondering when it kicks in, because that affects that helps us save money this year in our budget.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so
But
we'll,
isn't
I mean,
it-
we'll see, and, you know, the senator said that it's gonna be something that they're gonna strongly, he says it's something they're gonna strongly consider in the budget, but that's always, you know, we'll strongly consider it in the budget, and they said we considered it, and we considered not doing it, that's what usually ends up happening with things like that, so, because the state doesn't wanna assume long-term costs. I mean, we've been playing this game in New Hampshire for
No, they don't wanna
hundreds
do-
of years.
They don't want to do long-term revenue, that's the issue. The costs keep going whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna close the regular session and move into non-public 91A colon C, I think.
Oh.
Personnel.
Good to see you guys.
Take
See
everybody.
you.
Right. Bye, guy.
And we have to wait for all the yes.
Murray, yes.
Bye, guy, again.
Okay. Yeah, that has to be voiced.
Okay, you finished?
Yep, we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.